everybody, welcome to Rudy's Movie Review, San Antonio's official movie critic. And today we're going to go ahead and talk about the top 10 films of the decade. Now, I'm going to do a few films in this format. I want to give everybody my overall thoughts on what I thought was the best of this past 10 years, the 10s, whatever we're calling this decade. So, let's talk about this past 10 years. If any genre dominated the cinemas this past 10 years, it definitely was comic book genres. And what better way to start the countdown with my picks for the top 10 best comic book movies this past decade. So let's get ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and get started at number 10. Number 10, ladies and gentlemen, is Batman vs. Superman. Now, don't stop the video. Please hear me out, okay? Jesus. Batman vs. Superman was a film that I was expecting as a lifelong DC fan. I was expecting the tone to be a lot darker and a whole lot serious, and I was completely 100% confident in Zack Snyder's vision. Because first off, the guy is a comic book fan, and it translates on screen. There's a lot of images that only true Superman fans could understand and see that he brought from the pages of the comic book to the film. So when it arrived in theaters, I was totally excited about this, because never in cinema has it happened where we had the Batman and the Superman face off. So I was completely excited about this. But for whatever reason, it just didn't resonate with audiences. I have my theories on why, and I'll go into that in maybe other videos, maybe later on in this video. But for me, I always knew as a lifelong fan of comics going back to the 80s, DC and Marvel are two different entities. So I knew it was going to be a more grounded, realistic, darker portrayal of heroes. And that's ultimately what it was, but it just didn't connect with audiences. People complained about the editing, and it didn't make any sense. But I saw the genesis of what Zack Snyder was envisioning to do. Unfortunately, he never got the opportunity to do that. So it's now just its one own film, and with the universe that's not really finished. But I watch it almost once a month. I believe it's going to be appreciated in time, just like the Empire Strikes Back. People hated Empire Strikes Back when it first came out. But over time, I think people will appreciate Batman vs. Superman and the DC films. There's already Twitter conversations where, BVS is a masterpiece. I agree with that. But that is my number 10 choice, ladies and gentlemen, for the best comic book film of this past decade. Let's go to number 9. Number 9 is going to be The Dark Knight Rises, and I truly believe it doesn't really get as much accolades or credit, or it's not really in the conversation as best comic book films that it deserves. For me, it's a simple reason. Bane. Of all the comic book villains, Marvel and DC, that you can stack up, Bane is truly the only villain that terrifies me. If I had to face him, I would be crapping in my pants. Bane is just a force of nature, and just the way he manhandled Batman early on in the film, that whole scene where they're locked in that well, whatever it is. Let's not stand on ceremony here, Mr. Wayne. And then he breaks his back. That whole scene gave me shivers. And I just love how there's no score, there's no music, it's just Bane's voice echoing in that cavern. I was wondering what would break first, your spirit or your body? And he breaks his back, and Batman's body just echoes off the ground, and it's just silence. That gives me freaking chills. And that is why I love The Dark Knight Rises. But not only that, but it's a bookend to the Batman Begins. Batman Begins, little Bruce Wayne fell down a well, and his dad helped him out. And this one, he's in a well, and he has to climb out on his own. And symbolically, I love that. That is just a beautiful metaphor of what Bruce Wayne had to overcome. And I love that. Oh, God. The Dark Knight, man. Number 9.
I'm touching myself tonight.
Number 8 is Deadpool. Yes, Ryan Reynolds in his foul mouth is number 8 on my list. The reason why? The comic book genre was getting stale at that point. I mean, Marvel was doing their thing, and they're just shooting out movie after movie of the same. The hero's really not in danger format. And then we have Deadpool, which is rated R, and we have some sex scenes, and we have titty bars, and then we have Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. And it was hilarious. I have to admit, I enjoyed Deadpool. I saw it maybe at least 10 times in the theater. I loved it that much because it was just something different that the comic book genre needed. And it proved to not only movie studios, but it proved to general audiences that a rated R comic book film can be successful. And people seem to forget Blade and The Crow. I don't know. It's weird how things go nowadays. I mean, there were successful rated R comic book films in the past. I don't know why people say Deadpool was the most successful. Technically, it was, but there were others before it. There was already a trail blazed. So let's not give Deadpool too much credit. But neither that, you know, let's move on. Deadpool is number 8. Number 7 is Infinity Wars, and I'm not going to include Endgame in this list. It's just going to be Infinity Wars. Infinity Wars did something that, for me, being a lifelong comic book fan, something I've always wanted to see, which was the Infinity Gauntlet and Thanos on the big screen. The film, I don't know how the writers did it. They didn't do it in Endgame, but they did something that I didn't think could be done. They actually had all these characters, 20 plus characters maybe, on screen, all cohesively working together in a screenplay and story that made sense. It's a fun film. Thanos is probably one of the best Marvel villains written out. You truly understand why he's approaching with his plan, and you know, he's just a madman to move forward with it. We all can understand what he's doing. The way it ended, I really loved as well. It ended at a really devastating point for the Avengers. Half the universe had died, and they're just there beaten on the ground. I love the way they ended, and just a silence as those credits started and people just waiting. There's a post-credit scene! No way, motherfucker, no, it's ending like this. Oh, I love that. So Infinity Wars is number 7. And number 6 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And who would have thought that a movie with Spider-Ham was going to be the best Spider-Man film ever made? And I mean that. This film really does something that I truly appreciate, and that's really just give us a creative view of a Spider-Man world. It took the comic book pages and brought them into a 3D realistic real life. Visually, this film is beautiful. I gotta hand it to everybody involved at Sony Animation Studios. Whoever came up with this format and look, bravo to you. I hope you guys get more freedom and more projects to just bring us, the audience members, more refreshing, you know, insights and just views and perspectives of a comic book genre. You totally reinvented it, and it's really one of the best. It's well written as well. You have all these Spider-Man, you have Spider-Gwen, you have Spider-Man Noir, all cohesively working together, and they all have arcs. I love the intros that each of them have. That's very innovative and fun. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is my number 6. Number 6, as they say in Spanish. All right, now we're getting to the top 5 comic book films of the decade. If you agree with me so far, leave some comments below. If you totally hate me, don't subscribe because I put Batman vs. Superman on this list. I am sorry, but I love it, okay? There's nothing you can do or say to convince me otherwise. Let's go to number 5. Number 5 is Wonder Woman. Now let me take you back to the 90s real quick. Back in the 90s, we had a magazine called Wizards because the internet wasn't really a thing yet. And in the Wizard comics, every other issue, they have a list of movies that were supposedly in production or in the works. And Wonder Woman was always there. And I remember, I can't wait to see Wonder Woman. I cannot wait. But it was always pushed back because articles always said, or studios always said, that it was unfilmable. They couldn't capture Wonder Woman's world on celluloid. So I never understood that. So when it finally came to be, I remember leaving the theater after seeing Wonder Woman feeling so inspired and wanting to be a better person. Not many films really affect me that way. And the first reveal of Wonder Woman as she's coming up the ladder into that no man's land, I have to admit, it takes a lot for me to get goosebumps at the theaters, and seeing her walk out and just in her beauty and her power and her strength, just walking out fully confident with all those bullets coming at her, just knocking them out. I was like, man, this is so inspiring. Wonder Woman is a beautiful film and does everything right, and that is why Wonder Woman is my number 5 comic book film of the decade. Number 4, ladies and gentlemen, is The Avengers. Now, The Avengers, again, did something that had never been done before. It had all my favorite comic book characters on screen together fighting a bad guy. I have to admit, I got the greatest joy that one scene after they defeat Loki in Germany, and you see Captain America standing there with his shield, and Iron Man flies in next to him, and Captain America looks at Iron Man and goes, "Mr. Stark?" And Captain America looks at him, "Captain?" Oh God, that was awesome! I got the biggest goosebumps, and of course there's that one scene where they're all back to back together, looking around, the camera pans around their bodies and their group, and then you see the Hulk yelling, "Ah!" That whole scene is just awesome. And again, as a comic book fan, I never in a million years would have thought that I would see the Avengers, everybody, on the big screen. And it was a wonderful time. One of those moments I won't forget. My number 3, ladies and gentlemen, is Man of Steel. And here's why. I am a huge Superman fan, obviously. For those who don't know, I have Superman tattoos all over my body here. See, Superman and Wonder Woman kissing. And I love, and I truly believe the Superman of 1977 with Chris Reeve and Richard Donner at the helm, that is the greatest superhero comic book film of all time. All time. It's used as a template for Marvel films. Kevin Feige has admitted that. And it was also used as a template for Wonder Woman. It's just a 3-act structured, well thought out piece of filmmaking. So when Man of Steel came out to the theaters, I remember I was in love with it, because bringing that type of hero to a modern audience, it's going to be a little bit darker. And plus they had to follow all the tropes of the Dark Knight trilogy, grounded in realism and really dark, hence the DC universe. So I knew what I was walking into with this film. It was going to be dark. And I think the preconceived notion of everybody thinking of Chris Reeve, happy Marvel type of atmosphere, walked in and didn't like what they saw. And that's really a sad case of just expectations. Expectations can ruin a film for a lot of people. But if walking in with a blank slate or walking in knowing what to expect really is what helped me out. And plus, I think Man of Steel was a victim of its own release. And what I mean by that is the year before Avengers came out, that May, Iron Man 3 came out. And then in June, we had Man of Steel. Think about that. Fans nowadays, if you're a fan of Apple or Samsung, Marvel, DC, it doesn't matter. Star Wars is great, Star Wars sucks. We're very vicious toward one another. You have to like what we like. If not, you're stupid, which is idiotic if you ask me. So when Man of Steel came out, I just believe the Marvel fandom was just at such a high point that it really never had a chance to gain, favor with critics or the general audiences, because the tone was different. This is DC, it's not Marvel. We got the Avengers over here. What's this? I think it was just a victim of placement and its release. But now there is a trend on Twitter where people are saying, hey, I saw Man of Steel. It's a wonderful film. What are people talking about? I think people are finally seeing the light. And as I mentioned, Batman vs. Superman and Man of Steel, I believe, will be appreciated as the years go on. And it will age well. If you watch Man of Steel now, compare the direction that Zack Snyder had on that film to the other Marvel films, it completely stands out. It has like a aesthetic, grainy feel to it, and I love. There's a lot of heart and care went into that production. It was well casted. Henry Cavill. I want him back for Man of Steel 2. Please bring him back. I want him back. And that's my number 3, Man of Steel. Such a great film. Tears me up every time when his dad goes, oh God. And not only that, people say he doesn't have a heart either. And I'm like, what are you talking about? There's a scene where Superman is in full outfit, cape and all. He's like, Mom, I'm in here, Clark. These could be replaceable. Don't worry about it. He goes, well, you can't be. And he hugs his mom in his outfit. We've never seen that on screen before. And that touches me. It really does. That's a wonderful film, and it's got plenty of soul in it. So I don't know what people are talking about. Anyway, that's my number 3. Now we're down to the bottom 2, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to be completely honest with you. 1 and 2, we're doing this. I couldn't really make a decision, but ultimately, after thinking about it over the past few days, I made my call. My number 2 choice is Logan. It really upsets me that when Logan was released, I remember, like everybody said, it just broke genres. It wasn't a comic book film. It felt like a drama that anybody can relate to and anybody can go and watch. You didn't have to watch the other 10 or 15 X-Men films to really understand this film. You can just go in blind and enjoy it. And I remember being so upset that it wasn't nominated for any Oscars, but Black Panther was. Give me a fucking break. Really? Logan is a masterpiece. It's brilliantly acted by Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart. It's dark. You have heroes that you love and cared about for over 10 years at the ends of their lives and just in a bad place, and your heart goes out to them and what they have to fight for. They go on this last mission protecting this girl. And it's such a heartfelt movie, and it makes me cry. It really does, but it's also very real and one of the best. And not only that, but it just set the stage to let everybody know, okay, we had fun with Deadpool with titty jokes and blah, 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 and fart jokes. Here's a grounded, violent film, a graphic novel, so to speak. The first really graphic novel of comic book movies to be successful. And here you go. A brilliant film, one of my favorites, and I see it all the time. So Logan's my number 2, ladies and gentlemen. And that leads me to my number 1. And before we get to my number 1, ladies and gentlemen, if you like my list so far, please subscribe to my channel. Let me know. That tells me that I'm doing things right. And also hit the like button. That lets the YouTube algorithm know that, hey, Rudy's Movie Reviews, that San Antonio guy, that San Antonio movie critic, he's doing something good. So I'm going to hit the like button. He deserves it. Ladies and gentlemen, for my number 1 comic book film of the past 10 years, the best comic book film, it is none other than the one and only, the well-acted and well-directed film, The Joker. I cannot think of any other film, any other comic book film the past 10 years or in recent memory that was so divisive and just so on the lips of everybody in the nation. This film impacted everybody. Even before it was released, we had news outlets saying this film was going to be a sympathy call or help instigate or create more incels, which I don't know what the fuck that means, but nothing happened. Oh, the army's warning the mass shootings because of the Joker. Nothing happened. This film, what it ended up being was just a society piece on letting us know that, hey, people need help. There's people that are less fortunate than us, and if we ignore them and not give them a chance to survive or at least be there for them, this is what can possibly happen. It had a lot of heart, and it was really devastating and heartbreaking to see somebody who had all the passion and all the heart and the intent to do good, had all his cornerstones of his life, his family, his job, everything he loved taken away, and society didn't care about him, and look what he turned out to be. It's a tragic comedy in a sense, but it's also very grounded. And Joaquin Phoenix, if he doesn't win best actor in the Oscars this coming year, I'm gonna be totally devastated, because the man is brilliant. He brought something totally different to the comic book genre that I thought could never happen. Things are different now. When we talk about comic book films, there's going to be pre-Joker and after Joker. After Joker, I hope we see more graphic novel tales. I hope we see more stories that are tied to what society is going through, how we treat one another, and the consequences of that. The Joker is like a Rorschach test. Anybody who goes and watches this film walks away with something different. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, The Joker is my #1 comic book film of the decade. And I hope you enjoyed this list, everybody. I really put a lot of thought into this. This is my second time recording this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any feedback for me, please let me know in the comments below if you agree with me. And hit the subscribe button. Like I said, I really would truly appreciate that. And as always, thank you for watching Rudy's Movie Review, San Antonio's official movie critic. Please take care. God bless. Live long and prosper, and have a happy new year.